Hey everybody, it's Dave with Dii. Thanks for tuning in today to the Dii live broadcast. We do this every 2 weeks. So I'm glad to be back here in 2021. It's our first live broadcast of 2021. So super excited to be with you. If you are new to Handpans, this is the exact episode you want to watch because I'm going to show you some of the basics about how to play handpan and how to manipulate the sounds and how to touch it and make it work for you in the best way possible as a beginner. We've been doing these kind of shows for a long time, all through 2020. And even before 2020, in our store here in Lakewood, California, we would have groups of people come in and we would all play together, give them classes and lessons on every other Saturday, kind of like we're doing it here live on YouTube. And it was really fun. And we get to meet all sorts of fun people and right up close. So we're still doing that right now on YouTube, here on YouTube Live, obviously, since you're here. And one of the cool things we can do here on YouTube is if you comment and if you have a question, we can answer that question live on this broadcast. So please feel free to make comments. Even right now, if you have a comment or anything to say, we can comment back. Or if it's a question you have about the handpan itself, I've got a little bug in my ear here, a little bird in my ear, and that bird will tell me what your comment was, and I can answer it and get you that answer resolved really quickly on the live broadcast. Anyway, so if you're brand new to our Dii channel, over here on the right-hand side below the screen, please check the subscribe button, the red subscribe word, I think it is. It's not so much a button. And you can also click on the notifications bell, so that way you will know when we're going live and when we have different other videos that we upload from time to time, you'll be notified of those videos as well. So thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you're having a wonderful new year so far. All right, so I'm going to get down to the basics right up front here today. Oh, wait, I do have one other thing to tell you, and it's really exciting. We just recently created a new lessons platform, and it's called the Dii Community. And one of the Dii Community features we have is obviously lessons on how to play handpan. We're planning on adding all sorts of other lessons in the future. So if you get in now, it's going to be I think there's a discount going on right now. If you go to our website, there should be a pop-up that comes down when you go to the website, and you can click on that pop-up that takes you directly to the Dii Community page, and you can log in. And it's a subscription-based thing, and you can log in and get all sorts of information there, even more than you're going to get on these live broadcasts on YouTube.
David, would you like me to show him?
Daniel, are you there? Daniel, are you in the background?
Yes, I am in
Where's
the background. Daniel? I was going to bring us into our website here.
Yeah.
And show everybody. Is that good? Can we hear? All right, cool. All right, here's our website. If you come down to services and you see Dii Community there, if you click on the community.
There it is.
And it comes up, hopefully, and bam. And
this is the Dii Community, yay!
We've already started. There's people that have already gone through some of the courses and submitted comments and stuff, and it's pretty fun. We also have it's almost like an Instagram on the actual site, and we can talk to each other and stuff like that, which is really fun.
Yeah. So, absolutely. Daniel, by the way, let me just interject right there, because that was one of my favorite things about this new platform. Is as it takes you through the different lessons, we have a video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4, that sort of thing. If you have any questions about video 1, there's a little thing at the right-hand side. It says discussion or something like that. You click on that, and you can post questions. You can post pictures. So if you have a question as you're going through the videos and you have a question about, is my hand correct? Am I hitting it correctly? You can post a video of or a picture of how you're hitting it. And then that we'll get notified of that, and we can come back and answer those questions. And also, anybody else that's watching that video can see what your question is and maybe be helped by the question that you posed on that little dialogue there. So it's really super cool that everything is centered in on those lessons, and we can get dialogue between everybody that's watching and learning. So I think it's a super duper great method of learning.
No, it's fun. I'm excited for 2021 because we're going to be pushing this pretty hard. And it's going to be a great time to meet everybody. Yeah. It's going to be pretty fun. So, yeah, that's our Dii Community, and I'll give it back to Dave.
All right, thank you, Daniel.
Welcome.
All right, so Daniel also has something he's going to pop up on the screen here. It's basically an image of what we've been teaching in our beginning classes for quite some time. It's just a top and a bottom view of the handpan, and it shows some of the features of the handpan. And so if you're brand new to handpans, I'm just going to review it all here for you like I typically do, and it just gets you started really quickly. So the handpan is typically made out of a top and a bottom shell. You can see it's got a top and the bottom. The bottom has this big hole in it. The big hole is called the GU. GU is the way it's spelled, GU. You can get some bass sounds out of it. So you can kind of change the way your hand fits inside of that hole to get different pitches. You can get a low pitch if the hole is smaller, get a higher pitch when the hole is open up completely. So it's really fun. You can kind of do these cool little sounds with it, do rhythms and thing. So we've got the GU hole on the bottom shell. Typically, traditionally, the bottom shell is just a plain shell, but frequently these days, there are notes sometimes on the bottom shell as well. So on the top shell is where it's the main playing surface of the handpan. You're going to see some features here. There's the big note in the middle, and this is called the ding note, D-I-N-G. And you can see that on the little image on the screen there. It's called the ding note, and it's basically the central note of the handpan. It's like the lowest pitch, typically. Around the rim of the handpan, you're going to see all of these other tone field notes. And we call them tone field notes because a lot of people in the handpan community throughout the world call them tone fields. And then other people like myself call them notes because I come from a steel drum background of making steel drums and playing steel drums. And on those instruments, they call them notes. So here we've called them tone field notes. And we just brought them all into one phrase there. And you'll notice also that you have these little divots, these little indentations in the middle of the notes. These are called dimples. The ding large dimple is just outward rather than inward. So that could be considered a dimple also, but most people just call it the ding note. So now we've got the tone field notes around the edge. They've got the dimples in the middle. A lot of people ask, why are those dimples there? The reason those dimples are there is it controls the sound a little bit. A steel drum is made in a very similar way, but the steel drum has no dimples, and it has a little bit brighter sound, a very live, bright sound. And the handpan has a much mellower sound, and the dimples have a lot to do with that mellowness of the notes. It controls the brightness of the sound, and also a little bit, it keeps it from flexing too much and making like a real bright, bouncy sound. I don't know how to describe it exactly. The handpan notes obviously have a nice warm sound. You play them with your fingers. A steel drum, you would play it with mallets. You can play the handpans we make here at DII with mallets. Actually, we're coming out with some mallets that you can use for a handpan. So if you're a beginner and you're familiar with how to use your hands, you can get started a little bit faster with some mallets, and we can show those to you later on, or you can go to the website and ask us, or give us a call, or send us an email. We can talk about the mallets. Between the notes and the tone field notes here is the metal that's between the notes. And that has a name. It's called interstitial metal. The interstitial metal is kind of like a skeleton between the notes. It kind of holds everything together, but it doesn't make any sound per se. With the exception of when you want to slap it with a finger like this, it kind of creates a percussive sound. So that percussive sound can be used as a rhythm area on the instrument. So anywhere there's the metal between the notes, it kind of has a dead sound to it, and a muted sound, and a metallic sound sometimes, and you can just use that as a rhythm, a place to create rhythms. So you could play something like this, or you could play like a rhythm like that. So that's what we use the interstitial metal for. Now, getting back to the notes, the handpan tone field notes, the top one is called the ding, as we mentioned before, and it's a low D. So if you're familiar with any kind of musical instruments like piano or guitar or whatever, this is a D, and it's the lowest pitch on the instrument. Then it skips to A, and you can see all of these on the screen there. I'm pointing at the screen. You can't see it? I can see it right there. So on your screen, on the right-hand side, maybe on the left, you can look at the notes how they're on the diagram. So it's got a D in the middle. We've got an A, C, D, E, F, G, and A. So all of our handpans here at Dii are basically the same scale. Sometimes on our RS model, stainless steel models, it's slightly larger, it's 1 inch in diameter larger. We add a extra note at the top, it's the high C. But pretty much all of the other notes are exactly the same. It gets people going really fast, and it makes it really easy for you to learn. So on the other end, when you're learning how to play, it makes it really easy to watch the video and then just imitate what's going on the video. There are handpans out in the world, which are a lot of them, that are made in different scales, and which for beginners, a lot of times it's very confusing because it doesn't match up. The lesson I'm giving you today, the notes wouldn't be the same. Some of the techniques, you could learn some of the techniques, but the patterns and the melodies that are created would not be identical, and you'd have some trouble understanding how everything works. So that's why we do that here at Dii. All of our handpans, we've got a satin model. We've got a Luna Clarity model, which is a glossy finish. This is a satin model, by the way. We've got an RS stainless steel model, and we also have a new Ohm hybrid model handpan that has a handpan top and has tongues on the bottom, like a tongue drum. And all 4 of those instrument types have the same scale on top, so you can go from one to the next and easily play all of them. Not only can you individually play all of them and walk right up to them, but if you're playing as a group, if you had 2 or 3 people playing, they will all sound good together, and you can play as a group and have a lot of fun. So that's another reason we like to have the same scale on top of each one of our handpans. Beyond that, even, I used to make handpans of all sorts of various different scales. And when I had the handpans on the wall here at the shop, people would look at them, and I would say a good 80% of the people really liked the D minor scale that we have here, and we call it the sunset scale. And so that's why we decided to go with this scale. Just FYI, those are all just little things you want to know, because some people have questions about scales and all that sort of thing with handpans. Okay, so another way you could consider discussing the handpan tone field notes is not with letters like I was talking about, a D and an A and a C and that sort of thing. You can also use numbers. So if you start on your left hand from the center, you can go 1, 2 goes to the A, 3 goes to the C, 4 D, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in that case, it's an 8-note handpan. We call it 8 notes because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like I said earlier, the RS handpan has 9. So the 9 note would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's an extra high C up there on the left-hand side. And so that's basically the way the handpans are made. It's a really great instrument for starting out with if you're interested in meditation, or for people that are really interested in percussive playing and really like to get out there and jam on the street corner. So it's a really wonderful instrument to play and enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit now about just getting the first sounds started. Daniel, by the way, is anybody have any questions yet? I don't know if there's any questions going on yet.
Actually, we just got one. Let's see.
Okay.
Maria Quincy. Here, I'll bring it on the screen. Whoa, that's big. I go, wow, that's big. I have 3 notes on the bottom on my handpan. Can you please tell me what they are? Oh, yeah, actually, we can.
Okay, so if Maria, I think you might have purchased one from us. I'm not sure. I don't quite remember.
She has a Luna. Yeah, she has a Luna.
Okay.
Clarity.
Okay. So, yeah, on the bottom, you should have an F on the left-hand side. A G. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have the bottom notes, and I don't have one here that does have the bottom notes.
I'm showing the.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Daniel has this new diagram. Excellent. So I believe you would have the one that's on the top diagram there. And you'll notice on the left-hand side, there's a note with an arrow that shows where that F is on the bottom left. And then on the bottom right, there's a G. And then on the bottom, kind of towards the front, there's a B flat. So that's what the notes are. So F, G, and B flat. And if I was to count that, I would start on my right hand on the ding, 1, then go to the F, 2, G would be 3, A would be a left hand 4, B flat would be 5. C is 6. D is 7. E is 8. F is 9. G is 10. And A is 11. So in that case, we call those instruments like a Luna Clarity 11 is what we call it, 11 notes. And one of the cool things you can do with the bottom notes in this case, if you play the F with your left hand and you play the D with your right hand, that'll make a harmony. Or you could even play the A and the D and the F like this in this kind of motion, and that'll make a harmony. Switch to the G on the right and the C and the E on the left. So you have these notes over here on the top and the G on the bottom. You can play those together. Those will work together and make a C chord. So you can kind of go back and forth like this, and it makes nice harmonies. But those are essentially the notes that you can play with on the bottom. Yes, if you're unfamiliar with how they were set up, and I'm going to be making some lessons on this in the future, so you can watch and learn how they're set up and how to use them more effectively. But essentially, you can run scales, again, like I mentioned, with alternating hands by just going right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So going all the way up and down the scale, you can do it alternating hands. But there's so many options that are involved with using those bottom notes that it goes way beyond what we can do today on our just our live broadcast. So hang in there. We're going to do some videos on how to use those in the future. But the essentials are the F, the G, and the B flat are on the bottom. And you can just use varieties of notes on the top in tandem with those bottom notes to create different scales, different chords, just different musical ideas. One thing that a lot of people like to do is if you have a D A progression like this, D A D A D A, and then you switch to the B flat on the front. And I don't have one here, unfortunately, but you can kind of keep that pattern going. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and then switch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it kind of creates a neat little mesmerizing kind of little progression. Anyway, so that's one thing you could do that would be fun to get started with. Otherwise, you're just going to have to get familiar with it. And like I said, we're going to have to put some videos out there so you can learn a little bit more about how to utilize those really effectively. Great question.
Here's a great comment from Capichow. The reason why I think it's a pretty good one is he has a different pan and has 9 notes, and he said the B flat threw him for a loop. So, you know, I think some of the people watching may have different pans. So yeah, there's going to be different.
Exactly. Different scales, different notes are going to be located slightly in different places and that sort of thing. But on the other hand, it's kind of a fun thing about handpans too. It's once you get good at playing one instrument, sometimes you want to start to dabble in another instrument that has a different scale, and it's really exciting to and get the different sounds out of the instrument. So yeah, handpans are great. So it's going to be fun showing people how to play these even more in the future, and we're just going to keep these lessons going. So it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, I was just talking really quickly about, before we started talking about the way of playing the handpan and getting the sound out of the instrument. We had those questions. So now we're going to go back to just how to get the sound out of the instrument. So I usually show it on the F or the D here, just because it's easy on screen to show it. It's my right hand. A lot of people are right-handed. So essentially, I use my index finger to play the notes, and essentially I do aim to some degree for the middle of the dimple there. And so I don't know if you can quite see it exactly on the screen there. But it's kind of a flat hit. I'm not aiming my finger down like this. So my finger isn't doing this kind of motion. It's more of a flat motion. Also, I'm utilizing gravity. Gravity just kind of pulls my hand down. And you'll notice my whole arm and even my palm of my hand is kind of touching the instrument. My finger is just slapping down onto the note and creating the sound. So one thing that's really important, though, is that you slap that finger down, but that the finger immediately comes off of the note. So you have to create like a little spring-like action with your finger that allows it to slap down and bounce back up immediately so that you're not muting the note. This is what it sounds like when you mute the sound, mute the note. It mutes the sound of the note. So you've got to get away from that action and just allow your finger to strike it and move away from it very quickly. So there's a couple you can see on the screen right now. Like I was doing it really more overtly by raising my arm like that. But I can also play and get the same sound by just leaving my hand pretty much where it is. And the only thing that's changing there is my finger is just bouncing off, and I'm just keeping my finger like, I don't know, half an inch or an inch above the note. So you don't have to have really broad motions when you're playing. Like you don't have to play like this. I've seen people play like that, but you don't need to do that. It can be very limited motions. They just need to be kind of the right motion. So for people that are unfamiliar with playing with their hands, like for instance, I'm a drummer. I've been playing with my hands all my life, so it's a very familiar thing to be playing a musical instrument like this. But if you play clarinet or guitar or something like that throughout your life, and you didn't play any instrument at all, and you're coming up to this instrument and trying to play it, some of these motions might be unfamiliar. It might take a little longer for you to get comfortable with them. So beyond just that single motion right there, what you want to do is give yourself some practice and just go slow and not expect yourself to play all of the notes all the time super fast or super perfect. What you want to do is just start with an exercise. And I used to do this with my classes here at the store. I would just have them play the ding note in a repetitive fashion, just like 4 on each hand. So I would have them hit the ding note 4 times and then switch to the left hand 4 times, 3, 4, and back and forth, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a real simple exercise you can get going. Some people play with their thumbs. You can see I'm playing with my thumbs now here. And for some reason, I think for some people, it's just a more comfortable way to play. It's more of a rotating motion with your arm like this. So it's more of a rotating action with your arm rather than a falling with gravity motion. Even going around the notes, around the edge, the tone-filled notes, it has kind of a twist to it rather than a falling with gravity motion. So that's 2 different ways that you can play the notes on the handpan. But let's go back to that exercise. So even if I was playing with my thumbs or my fingers, you could play with both. Actually, it might not be a bad idea to use both fingers and thumbs in these exercises just to get used to playing with both. So just do those 4 on each hand. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And I'm kind of going a little fast right now. So if you wanted to, as a beginner, just to feel the motion a little bit more directly, slow it down. Don't forget to breathe. Here's my little sign. It says, just breathe. Because it's true. When you're learning something new, sometimes you forget to breathe. And what you're looking for when you get these this exercise going, you just want to get a nice clean sound out of the instrument. Also remember, try not to touch the note like this, because if you're touching it, you're going to get this kind of sound. Which I'm getting a sound, but it's not that really warm, full sound that you want to get typically. Like this is the more normal sound. So you could, by the way, as a percussion player, because as you're playing this instrument, you're becoming a percussion player, whether you knew it or not. So as a percussion player, you can practice these different ways. You could play 4 open sounds and then 4 muted sounds. So you just get experience on how to play both, right? So now I'm going to play an open sound. Now I'm going to play muted here. Sometimes it's good to know how to play the muted sounds versus the open sounds, because as you're exploring the musical options you have on the handpan, the more options you have to play in different ways, the more musical ideas you'll be able to communicate. So for instance, like I could play something like this. which is the open sound, and then I could interject that with the muted sound. So you can see how that works. So it's kind of fun because you've got the open sound, and then you have this little percussive rhythmic idea going on, but you can tell that it's still musical, following a musical line a little bit. So don't limit yourself. Make sure that you have options. But as a beginner, obviously, you just want to get the basics under your hands here. So this is one simple way of getting those basics going. If you want to expand that idea, move to the right and left hand side of the instrument and play the same exercise on the D and the E. So which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number 4 and 5 over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you could just practice those over and over again. You could start on the ding, and then you can move to the outer notes. And go back to the ding. Pretty soon you're going to be making music just as an exercise. So you could also play the back notes here towards your belly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't forget to breathe. And obviously I'm going very fast now. Thank you for the little label there, breathe. All right, so you can see obviously that you can expand on that idea. You can expand on all of these little rhythmic ideas and just start playing different notes. Sometimes people have a harder time playing the higher notes because they do resonate at a different frequency and they vibrate differently. So when you strike them, sometimes you need to strike the higher notes a little bit more forcefully than you do the lower notes. But it all depends. Every handpan is slightly different, even though we try to make them exactly the same every time. They're handmade instruments, and so they do vary slightly here and there. So practice on the high notes, practice on the low notes. Another thing about these lower notes in the back here, which is the A and the C, which would be number 1, 2, and 3, is sometimes people start to crank their wrist like this to try to play these. And with that kind of appearance on your wrist here, you don't have very much flexibility. So one thing I suggest is to take your handpan and just kind of lift the back of it up. If you have a stand, if it's on a stand, like we've got a little stand here, if it's on a stand, then just kind of lift it up a little bit so the back is higher and the front is lower. And what that does is it basically kind of makes these notes a little flatter. So when you're playing it, your wrist isn't bent as much. So that's one option you can do. If you're sitting, you can even do that. You can just kind of tuck it up against your body a little bit more. And you have that option where your wrist is less bent and you want to have more of a flexible way of playing it. Obviously, when you reach forward, you're reaching forward and your wrist bends this way just a little bit, but it's not an uncomfortable way, and it's usually very comfortable. So it's usually the notes that are towards your body that are more problematic than the notes that are away from your body. Another thing quickly, as far as orientation, some people get a handpan, let's say they buy it off the internet, off of Amazon.com or something like that, and they don't know how to set it up because it's round, and really you could set it up any direction you want. But in general, you're going to find that most people play the handpan by putting the low note in the middle, obviously, and then the lower notes are towards the body. And you can usually figure out which the lower notes are because they're bigger. So you can see that this note here is about the size of my full hand, whereas the note on the front is smaller, and it's only about the size of half of my hand, right? So the bigger ones are in the back towards your body. And what you want to do then is learn how to play a scale. So we're going to show you now how to play the scale on this handpan. And obviously, I'm not taking into consideration the bottom note handpan scales right now. I'm just going to be talking about the top note scales for the beginners. And on this sunset scale with the 8 notes, it starts on your left hand and then goes to your right hand, which is basically the easiest note to access, which is next to your tummy. So the A. So D to A. And then you just move this hand, the left hand, easily over to the C, which is also next to your tummy. So now we've got this motion, 1, 2, 3. right? And then you go up to the D on the right-hand side. And then the E on the left hand. Let's do that, repeating. Okay, so you'll notice that my hands are basically staying in this zone here. I'm not reaching over. Like some people get confused and then they start to do stuff like this. And they cross their hands. So try not to cross your hands. Or sometimes people will start out with left hand and then they'll play the next note up with their left hand, and then, oh, getting to the other note is difficult, so then they play that one with the left hand. Now they played 3 notes with their left hand and then finally hit their right hand. So try to make sure that they're alternating the whole way. So left, right, left, right, left. And then we're going to go to the F, which is farther up on the right-hand side, and the G, which is farther up on the left-hand side. So. And then we finally have the A up at the top. Okay, so again, you'll notice that it's just a very fluid motion. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Just like that. So that's the scale, the D minor sunset scale that we have here at DII. And like I said before, that works on pretty much all of the handpans that we make, unless you've got a custom designed handpan that had a custom scale on it. So you'll notice there I went all the way up and then went back down. So that's another exercise you could do just to kind of get familiar with the handpan. In fact, that's really kind of a lovely thing to play if you wanted just to play it and kind of get used to playing. I bet you anything, your family members and the neighbors around you probably would not mind hearing that scale played kind of repetitively because it's a pleasing sound. Another thing you can do with a simple exercise like this, you can slow it down as you breathe in. That's right. You could take it super slow if you want. Or you can move it a little bit faster. You can explore different ways of making that simple scale just kind of more musical by changing simple things like the tempo, which is changing how fast or slow you play it. You can also play it more softly or loudly. So earlier, interestingly, speaking of softly, earlier I was talking about striking the note and trying not to strike it with like a curved finger kind of way, like that. Try not to do that so much if you want a nice full sound. I'm trying to show you. All right. But if you want to have like a softer sound, that's actually not such a bad way of playing a soft sound on the handpan. So for instance, here I'm playing with the full sound, like this, with my normal technique. But if I kind of wanted to get a more of a whispery kind of sound out of it, I could kind of give it that little grabbing technique. You can see it has way less tone to it, just much more of a whisper. So if you go back and forth between those, you can go with the full sound, which is the normal technique. And you can go with the curved finger method. So it's interesting how you can take these different techniques, and on one hand, yes, it might be like the wrong way to play it, but then you find a musical way of using it. It's a good way, and then all of a sudden that wrong way becomes the right way. So we're full of options here with the handpan. It's really fun to explore, especially to explore the instrument. All right, so that's a simple scale. That's how to get the simple scale going. That's a few different techniques on how to play it. Let's see. What else have I not talked about? Okay, I usually talk about the rhythm, how to play like a simple rhythm, a backbeat rhythm, because a lot of people like watching the videos where the handpan player is playing the rhythm, the backbeat, and that sort of thing. It kind of has more of a drummy sound to it. And one of the simplest things we teach here at DII to get people started on that rhythm part is the Austin Funk. And we first taught it to somebody in Austin, Texas. And so we just continued teaching it over and over again. And it's just a fun one to start with. The other thing that's nice about it is you can expand on it and make it a more full kind of sounding rhythm as you get better and better. So we're going to start really with the basics here. We're going to utilize the interstitial metal here, which is like a snare drum sound, which is the snapping kind of sound that you're going to get with your finger. Over here, we're going to have the left hand playing the ding note, which is kind of like the bass drum on a drum set. So remember, the bass drum is the big drum in front that the drummer plays, and then the snare drum is the smaller one, and he usually smacks it like this with his left hand or right hand. And so this is going to be the bass drum, and this is going to be the snare drum. So let's just get those sounds going. So the bass drum, you're going to want to strike the note and allow it to have that full sound, right? So try not to mute it. And on the right hand, you're going to smack that interstitial metal. I usually use my middle finger, but you can use any of the fingers you want. I kind of recommend not playing with a full hand. If you can, try to get away from the whole thing. If it's most comfortable, just go for it. And then you can slowly but surely work in like the one finger, two finger, but play it with one finger. So you're going to kind of smack that. And in this case, you're going to just leave that finger on the metal rather than taking it off of the metal. So we were talking before about striking the note and having the finger come off of the note very quickly to get a nice warm tone. In this case, it's the opposite. You're going to smack it and leave it there. So this one gives the tone, the open tone, and then this one smacks it and you leave it on the metal. Open tone, leave it on the metal. Open tone, leave it on the metal. Like that. So that's the basics of the technique of playing this. And so the Austin Funk, it really has more of a codified way of playing it. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 repetitions up front of a certain rhythm. And then we're going to break with a 4th part, which plays the C and the D note like that. So the C and the D note are 1, 2, 3, note 3 and 4. So C and D, it's going to go like this, which is going to be left, right, left, right. Okay, so the first 3 repetitions are going to sound like this. 2, 3, and then you're going to stop here, throw in the C, D. Right? Okay, so that's the entire song. So what you just do is just put all that together and then just play it repetitiously over and over again, kind of like a little jam like somebody would rap to. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Stop on 4, pause, left, right, and then start again. 2, 3. Stop, pause, left, right. There you go. Now, during the pause, I lifted my hands. You don't necessarily need to lift your hands. You just need to pause. Pause. Left, right. In music, when you pause like that, we call it a rest. So in this case, you could also call it a rest. Stop, rest, left, right. Pause. Right, so that's the kind of the slow way, and it's really fun to get that one started because it's just something that you can cruise out with as you're playing the handpan, like as you're exploring different ideas. And maybe you just want to start doing a little rhythm in between the other stuff that you've been doing. Right, so all of a sudden kind of go into this after you do like a little melodic idea. Start playing around with a little bit, adding new ideas and new nuances. You could also have a friend of yours play along. They could have some kind of drum or cajon, a guitar, whatever it is. So there you go. With that beat, you can kind of just do all sorts of fun little things to break up the melodies that you create or the practice elements that you're practicing. And it's just a fun little rhythm to learn and play And I always tell people jokingly, you could play that on your first song at your first gig at the first coffee shop that you ever play at. So as people are walking into the coffee shop, you can be playing that and you can be welcoming them. It's also a great one that you can talk over because it's not super difficult to play. So after you get comfortable with it, you can learn how to talk over it. You can welcome people to the gig that you're playing and say thank you very much for being here. Don't forget to put money in the tip jar, that sort of thing. So it's a lot of fun to play this rhythm and just get it going. And it's a really good one just to start and make yourself comfortable with the handpan. All right, Daniel, do we happen to have any other comments? Is anybody else commenting?
No, everybody seems to be enjoying their New
All right.
Year's, and
Yeah, good.
yeah, we had Capichow say something. Maria thanked you for answering her question, and
Yep.
Vaughn says this is really cool, and yeah, it's a lot of good stuff.
Nice, good. So just one more time, Daniel. So where do we find the new DII community that we created?
Here we go. I'm gonna bring it up on the screen again. Yeah, I would love for you guys to see you guys comments and all that stuff. It's already starting right now, so it's pretty cool. This is the DII community, but let me go back just so I can show you guys. This is our homepage for our website. If you go to services right here, and then right there it says DII community. Also,
DII community.
if you if you just noticed, that was the pop-up, but it does pop up right away if you guys want to just use that link to go to it. But it's here.
And so
you all about
the
it.
DII community, for the people that weren't there. Sorry, I interrupted you in the exact same spot. Tell us more, Daniel, right there.
Oh, it's all right. I was look at this great shot of Dave Beery right here.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
And you can explore the courses, so you can go right here, sign up. Right now we're at 50% off, I think, right now for the for the sign up. So cool.
Yep. So it's going to be a great, like we mentioned before, for anybody that didn't hear it before. I'm basically teaching handpan lessons, beginning handpan lessons for right now. But the cool thing about it is you can make comments, and we can reply to those comments that you have on any specific subject of the lesson, and you can get feedback on those topics. The other cool thing beyond that is it's not just one-to-one conversation. It's opened up to pretty much everybody else that's taking those lessons, I believe, which allows you can also see what questions other people have had. And if you have the same question, you can read it and learn a little bit more about how they figured out how to solve their learning problem or whatever it is. And so I'm really excited to see how it all works. So anybody that's interested, log into that DII community and give it a shot. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to see some comments on the DII community. I believe there's the lessons, there's the video lessons, and then there's also like a separate DII community tab, like on the, I can't remember what page, the home page, I guess, that you can just go in and chat. It's like basically like a little private chat room that we can have a private chat about handpans and any subjects that you're concerned with, talking about handpans and music.
It's great because, I love it because, right now the handpan community is kind of small, but, this is a great place to come together, and, there may be somebody in your town that loves to play handpan. You guys can join up and, jam together or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's a really cool community, and I love that we're starting this. Thank you, Dave, for having this for us. Awesome.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for today. If anybody else has any further questions, feel free to contact us. Go to our website. At the very bottom of the website, you can find the contact button. There's also a newsletter button at the bottom of the page on the home page. Click on the newsletter, enter your email address, and you can get emails from us talking about the different deals we've got going on each month and that sort of thing, and the different things that we're doing with handpans. And we often have different topics and subjects coming out here and there that we discuss. We also create different products from time to time, and we sometimes will have those on our email newsletter, so you know what's coming up. By the way, we also have rental handpans. Rental handpans are something that we have here at DII that pretty much offers in the handpan community. So if you're interested in getting started with the handpan and are unfamiliar with the whole thing and just want to get started easy, we've got the handpan rentals, and you can find those on our website as well. So go check it out. We'd love to hear from you. Contact us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. You can look for us at Dave's Island Instruments on Facebook. Like the page. You can also see the newsletter information there. do the newsletter, or you can just contact us by email or by phone, and it'd be great to hear from you. So let us know if you have any questions. All right, have a wonderful New Year. Thanks for logging in, participating with the live broadcast. We're always happy to hear from you live. It's really a lot of fun. So see you next time. I'll play a little bit something while we tune out here. All right, bye now.